Hello, welcome to the Vitruvian Club. Before you watch this video, I recommend you watch the companion video titled Zeitgeist and the Antichrist, as this video is going to be analyzing the lyrics of the song in said video. And I also recommend watching the three other songs uh, I released my channel prior to this, which would be My Valentine, Anima Mundi, and The Ballad of Silicon Valley, as there is a bit of a linking narrative between all these songs, but that isn't as necessary. Anyway, let's get into the song. Zeitgeist and the Antichrist. Very provocative. When I've performed this in public, there's always someone who gasps at the title. And, well, that's good. It's supposed to be kind of provocative. I got that title from the book, the companion book of this song, Geist and Zeitgeist by Herman Brock. Um, this one's a little different than the other books I have used prior to this in the other three videos. This one is a group of philosophical essays and essays of artistic analysis as opposed to fiction books. And I prefer to choose fiction books, but this one is the exception. Oh, excuse me. Yes, this one is the exception because I wrote this song based off of my feelings of reading this book. So I figured I had to include it, or rather, I had to pair it as such. But Zeitgeist means spirit of the age, and well, Antichrist. You'll see why I pair it with that. But Antichrist is, you know, the most evil you can be, the most soulless you can be, and that is certainly a topic of discussion and lamentation in this song. So to begin with the lyrics, forlorn, subject to isolation from the truth. And we can tie this back to my previous song, The Ballad of Silicon Valley, and the modern era is this world of extreme interconnectedness, but also this world of extreme isolation, in that we're stimulated virtually on the internet, and that distances us from, isolates us from a greater experience. Like, for example, me being out here in this beautiful country, or being with the ones you love. I think that we're more isolated from that rather than we ever have been before, and that's a big problem. And that is the isolation from the truth. The truth being the way you ought to live your life. Disintegration is the end of the world. Monotonous apocalypse. Now watch it burn. Disintegration is the end of the world. I got that from an idea that Herman Brock talks about. Or rather, this idea is the disintegration of values. He recognized as modernity developed, there was this confrontation of value systems, coming, let's say, from different cultures or emerging from maybe the scientific enterprise. These conflicting value systems come to head, and they essentially destroy themselves. And I think that's something that I've certainly noticed, and this is why his work resonated with me so much, is the destruction of a value system, the destruction of, let's say, what the traditional values of Western civilization have certainly been under assault in the modern era. And you can view. Oh, wait, hold on. There's the bay. Sorry, I just had to point that out. It's so beautiful. Anyway, yeah, whether you agree with that or not, uh, traditional value systems have certainly been attacked and destroyed, and this is the so-called end of the world. And the monotonous apocalypse, I'm relating back to well, the what results from the destruction of this value system. It's it's kind of like a, at least in my experience, it's kind of this lifelessness, this monotony of oh, okay, we're working towards, we're working towards something. What are we working towards? I don't know. The betterment for mankind, perhaps, but what is that betterment? I don't know. It's working a soulless job and not being able to express yourself and not being able to speak how you really feel, um, and to just shut up and do your part, like you're an ant or a bee, a part of some greater hive mind, and that's the monotonous apocalypse. And I'm gonna say apocalypse now, as in the movie Apocalypse Now. Watch it burn, and that would be your the dissatisfaction with this modern monotonous apocalypse in which we have to disintegrate our values that make us whole and become integrated into this greater collective for some greater good, although we don't even know exactly where this greater good is leading us, and it doesn't tell us as to its destination, which is certainly different from a traditional value system, something like Christianity, for example, which tells you, okay, this is what you're doing, this is why you're doing it, or really any religious system. And then we get to the chorus: Zeitgeist and the Antichrist, commercialize your passion, righteous expression. Yeah, right. Well, let's start with that. Let's start with that one first. Yeah, Zeitgeist and the Antichrist. I mentioned that earlier. That's this in the Zeitgeist. There is this evil, this desire to commercialize passion. One of the things that, well, maybe not a desire to commercialize passion, but the reality of this commercialization of passion that kind of then nullifies the passion. Herman Brock uses this term kitsch, which essentially means it's like the soulless, vapid, unoriginal, industrious art. Um, this consumer-friendly art that's going to satisfy you in a pleasurable way, as opposed to speaking to a deeper version of yourself. And that is certainly in line with something that would be the Antichrist. And this whole song is about righteous expression beyond space and time, saving the souls of all mankind. So this is an artist realizing this grave danger that the modern world has thrust upon us, specifically from the domain of the arts, and recognizing how what was originally this expression of the soul has now been this way to placate us, and that's really, really disgusting in my view. And so I'll fight back against this war of the worlds with an artist word as my weapon. So this song is the artist fighting back against this oppression. If we want to go back to uh, my previous song, this oppression of pleasure, perhaps, where everything we consume, the art in which we consume, is vapid and it wants to satisfy us so we can't think any deeper. And this is, in this song, this is the artist fighting against that, this brave new world, this war of the worlds that is coming to be, and speaking his soul outwardly and proudly. Okay, we got verse 2, which would be, how does that go again? All the muses have taken their leave. We do not create, we only receive. Yes, this is so the creative, the deeper creative juices, the muse, the muses, the spiritual essence, which allows us to truly engage in something unique and creative that comes from within, is gone. Um, yeah, we do not create anymore, we only receive. And I can't help but think of filling your time with going on your phone and scrolling through endless social media feeds. I have been guilty of that, and it's something that this endless battle that I'm fighting against. This is the war of the worlds in which I reference, in that we have to actively fight against this force, forcing us to be passive and forcing us to only receive and not create. I'm reminded of Nietzsche's all-seeing eye. Um, there certainly are elements of uh, Nietzsche's warnings in this song for sure. Um, all yeah, so yeah, well, the muse of taking all our creations derivative and drab, broken mirror of our past. Yeah, so this is essentially, we've lost that touch with the muses, so everything we create is derivative of things in the past. Think of I'm just immediately reminded of live action uh, remakes of Disney movies. It's like that's such a, and you can argue, yeah, there is still creativity involved in that. That's such a cop out and such a cash grab. It's like it's relying on your nostalgia to placate you instead of engaging you in something new, giving you a new experience. You're just being rehashed the same experience, and that is where a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources now gets invested in, instead of putting faith in someone's new creative idea. And the more you kind of engage in these uncreative creations, the less you're going to appreciate genuine novel creativity, and that's really really dangerous. And I have the broken mirrors of our past is, also talking about this, but that specifically uh, comes from one of the things that Herman Brock talks about, which is the recognition of this uh, of this dissatisfaction rather with a current state of affairs, perhaps, and how one of the ways to resolve that is an appeal to the past, and returning to some kind of being conservative and returning to this cultural past. And he says that, well, there's a lot of danger in that. If we think of someone like Nazi Germany, for example, which is something that he was very involved. I believe he had fled. He was Austrian. He had fled the regime, but he witnessed this firsthand of this, you know the German people being destroyed after World War II, and then coming back to finding pride in Germanness again. But it wasn't that's they weren't attaching themselves to the correct things. They weren't attaching themselves to the soul of the past. They were attaching themselves to what the soul had created, which is seems like a very silly distinction to make, but there is a great truth to that, in that when you look to the past, you should be looking in order to look deeper, not to be looking just to lament your current situation. As in, you look at an old picture, and you want to feel where that comes from. Oh, excuse me. Hey, pups. You want to feel where that you want to feel that greater feeling when you look at a picture. You don't want to just say, "Oh, this is a good picture because it's from the past." No, it's a good picture because of where it comes from. It comes from the soul. And there is that conservative tendency to return to the past without realizing the importance of why that past was so great, is what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way. And hopefully I didn't ramble on too much there. That was a bit of a difficult thing to wrap your head around, though. Then we have our chorus again, and then we can go to the bridge, which is and through the darkest hour, a bed lamp lights the night, a young boy turning pages with flames in his mind. And this is more of like a personal anecdote, and I was reflecting on, what were these instances in which you were most creative, at a younger age, and I was thinking, I was like, well, it would be when I would be reading a book at night, when your mind kind of just set free, and you can escape into this beautiful world, and your mind, creates this world just from reading this text, which is just an amazing thing to be even to be able to do. And this is the flames in the mind is this act of mental creation, as in you're reading the text, and then you are creating a version of this world in your head. So this is why I think reading particularly is so important, as opposed to, let's say, watching TV or watching a movie or watching YouTube. Is that it is this active form of consumption, in that you have to participate and create as you're engaging in this art form, which is why I think that literature and reading in general is uh, is really something special. It's a way for you to create based off of, let's say, a framework that is given. Um, yes, and then but he is unbounded by the chains of his feelings, and this is again that sense of freedom in which you can either maybe escape from something uncomfortable, but perhaps a better and a more healthy way to say that is to say you can overcome these adversities in your life through the act of creation, as in your escape you're creating this mental world, and you are going through these experiences through this creative world in which you are playing with in your mind, and that helps you with dealing with things in real life. And this is certainly something I've experienced. This is I think a lot of people have experienced this, and this is why books can change people's lives. They can free up that blockage that blockage in you by allowing you to experience something whilst not physically experiencing. You can have this almost like a mental exercise, this mental simulation of some sort of difficulty that then allows you to deal with that in real life. And this is why books are so impactful to people. This is why I guess religious texts are so impactful for people, because they feel like you are really experiencing them, and they allow you to then grow as a person and then bring that into the world. And then we have the chorus again, and then I do some screaming. And then we have although I didn't mention I want to mention briefly when I say in the chorus, I didn't mention this previously, when I say righteous righteous expression beyond space and time. I wanted to, and then saving the souls of all mankind, I have mentioned that, but righteous expression beyond space and time is very interesting, because this is again you're removing yourself from, let's say, the temporal world, the physical world, and you are ascending beyond, existing in this kind of this timeless plane of creation, where you are working in this world of the mind, and this world of the spirit, in which things almost can feel more real, which is really strange to say, but you are kind of pulling them from this higher place in which these things are created, and then you bring them down into the world and give them out, so other people can also find this come to this strange place beyond our regular space and time, and also have these creative experiences, which is which is, like I said, is very, very, very powerful. It's a very, very spiritual experience, and is the case I'm making. And then I say, for the outro, I say, yeah, the fate of the universe in the hands of a bohemian. And this is, what I was just saying is that creativity is so very important, and we shouldn't neglect it, and we shouldn't neglect our ability to be creative and our ability to interact with other people's creations, because it allows you to go beyond, let's say, space time, and to have these deep experiences without even acting in the world. So then your actions in the world can be that much better. It's like you don't need to live. It's like as if you can live many lives within one life to make this life the best it can possibly be. And I think that is something that art allows you to do, and something that creating art allows you to do, which is a really powerful thing. And that is why the bohemian, the starving artist, the person who is disheveled, who doesn't who has one foot in this world and one foot in the other, who only cares about this act of creation, is not just a fool. They are an important part of the human story, and perhaps one of the most integral parts of the human story, and will perhaps lead us to a better future. Yeah, so this is Zeitgeist and the Antichrist. Hopefully, you stuck to the end, and you like this video, and I recommend checking out Geist and Zeitgeist. I think he says a lot of things, and Herman Brock says a lot of the things that I say in perhaps a better way. So yeah, check it out if you like it, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bon voyage.